Yo, salute to everybody here in the building, man. We got a goodie and we got some breaking news. Let's get it. Yo, salute to everybody already here in the building, man. You guys know what time it is, man. We are back, the dynamic duo. Salute, man. Welcome to the latest installment of the Graphic and Wasted Show.
Or the Wasted the Graphic Show, whichever way you like to slice it. My brother
in Christ, man. Salute to the greatest chat in YouTube history. As always, we appreciate every single one of you guys. If you're watching on Wasted's channel, make sure to pay them bar tabs and hit that subscribe button. Also, everybody here on OLV Raiders Network, wipe them feet, get those likes up, and hit that subscribe button on both channels. You know how we do, man. And we got some breaking news here. And we also have a guest that's going to be on here in a few seconds. But how we feeling right now, man? Tom Pelissero, first on the case. The Raiders are expected to promote Rob Leonard to defensive coordinator. Sources tell the insiders. Leonard has been with the Las Vegas Raiders for 3 seasons, most recently as a run game coordinator / defensive line coach, and is highly regarded. Now he gets a shot to run the show on the defensive side of the football, man. How are we feeling right now?
Man, you know, he's well deserving, bro. Like, he's well deserving. He has a resume like, you know, none other. And he's a guy, you know, and I did a short on my channel earlier about his resume and exactly, you know, people who kind of have a similar background to him. You know, the only concern that I would have is the fact that he's never called his own defense.
Agreed.
But you know, when you talk about the respect, we talk about how the guys in the building feel about him, the way Max speaks about him, and all the places he's been around the league, and some of the mentors he's had, like Rod Marinelli and guys like that. I am excited to see what this young fella can do.
Again, you know, Brian Flores, Mike McDonald, he's learned from some of the greatest defensive minds in football. I'm excited about this well-deserved promotion. Salute to Coach Rob Leonard. We also, man, have a phenomenal guest backstage right now. Man, this is long overdue. I know you and this guy had a great show, I believe, during the Colts weekend. Was definitely tapped in. You guys did great work. We got our boy Q Myers in the building. What's up, brother?
Yes, sir. How you guys doing? Appreciate y'all having me on the show.
Always.
Man, appreciate you pulling up, my brother. How are you?
Man, I'm good. It's Saturday, man. I had to go to the barbershop. You know, I had to get cleaned up, got the car cleaned up and everything. We good, man. It's Valentine's Day. What could go wrong? Robbie Leonard's about to be the DC. Things are good, man. Things are good.
How are we feeling about the hire, man?
I think it's great. I really do. I've been a big, you know, supporter of Robbie Leonard, as many people have. If anyone's paying attention to what's going on along that Raiders defensive line, he has been constantly putting them in a really good position. When Max went down, when Christian Wilkins went down, and the Raiders defensive line was still able to get pressure on the quarterback, everyone's wondering, well, how is this happening? Robbie Leonard, being at training camp, watching him go out there and push these guys along the defensive line, and the drills that he runs them through, and the intensity that he coaches with, he's a Raider through and through. I mean, he's one of those guys that you can identify very early on was going to be a DC at some stage of the game. You mentioned it, that, you know, he's got the McDonald traits, he's got the Flores traits, he's got the Patrick Graham traits now. I'm interested to see how he puts his defense together and what kind of, you know, what kind of scheme he comes up with and the way he calls it. Will it be new for him? Sure. But, I mean, he's a guy that's been around the league so long. I think he'll be just fine.
Wasted mentioned this the other day about Charles Snowden, the development with him when Kuntz was out and Max was out this past year. Tonka didn't get a ton of burn. JJ Pegues didn't get a ton of burn. When they were out there, they looked really good their rookie season, Q. So we may be on to something. And Wasted, does this kind of help our cause here with Max? We know he's out there in LA right now filming some content at the All-Star break, you know, with the NBA and stuff like that, with the Max, was it the Rush podcast? Salute to those guys. You think this kind of helps us in terms of keeping Max around?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one of the things, I mean, if you're looking from the outside looking in, that has kind of been the bane of the Raiders is all of the turnover. And the one consistent has been Max. And if you can keep somebody that he has a relationship with and you don't pull the rug from under him with all the change that's in the organization, I think that's nothing but right to keep Max around. I think if he does, and I don't necessarily know whether, you know, there's an issue, it kind of looks to be one, I know that has to be one of the issues, all of the turnover the last few years.
Yes.
The thing about it is, what I can guarantee is it doesn't hurt, right? I'm not going to say that it's going to solidify that Max is going to say, hey, I'm good, I want to stay with the Raiders, but it's not going to hurt his chances because Robbie Leonard and him are very close. He's helped develop him. He's one of those coaches that Max has a lot of respect for. And like I said, all the guys in the locker room have a ton of respect for Robbie Leonard. He's just one of those guys, and it's not just people that are around the Raiders. I mean, talking to people around the league, they keep saying and referring to, man, Rob Leonard, he's that guy. So I was wondering if he was going to get that opportunity. I saw that Kubiak was interviewing him, and I was happy that he got the interview. Didn't know if it was one of those just to try to feel him out type situation or if it was, a real opportunity. And it turns out to be a real opportunity, so I'm excited for it. So it's now a first-year head coach with Kubiak, first-year defensive coordinator. You do have Mike McCoy coming in as the assistant head coach, so that gives a little bit of, been there, done that to the mix. So I think that things could go well, man. I think that there's obviously going to be a learning curve. I don't think any of us are mistaken that this team is going to be a team that's going to go and win 14, 15 games and go to the Super Bowl next year. But you need to start seeing the pieces put together and the place that, the pieces put in place. And I think you'll start to see that.
Q, what do you say? Because our audience has been killing us with one narrative, right? I think that he did great things with Adam Butler, Jonah Lalu. He's worked magic with him as well. But the whole Tyree Wilson thing, you can't place the development on him just fully, right? Like, again, Tyree was injured coming in that draft. Josh McDaniels and those guys were high on him. Brought him in. He hasn't really panned out up to this point. What do you say to people that say, oh, well, Tyree didn't develop, blah, blah, blah. Why are we hiring him as our defensive coordinator?
I mean, and that's reality. Tyree hasn't developed, right? I mean, his development has been very slow for one reason or the other. Look, the dude was a monster in the Big 12. I saw him at Texas Tech, talked to his head coach, Joey McGuire, and he's like, man, Q, you're going to really enjoy what Tyree brings to the table. And for one reason or the other, and I can't put my thumb on it and tell you exactly why he hasn't developed. I know he has the want to, which is the most important thing. You got to have that. Seems like he was just kind of slow off the ball. It just seems like he hasn't really found a role that fits him very well. Now, I'll go back and say I thought he did good at moments. I think you see flashes of Tyree. So you see what he can be. Can he do it consistently? And look, it ain't for everybody, right? We all know that everybody that's drafted, especially drafted in the top 10, aren't going to pan out to be that top 10 guy. Yeah. Tyree just might not have it. I mean, for all we know, he just might not have it. And that happens. I mean, look at Cleve Ferrell. Cleve Ferrell was a really good player at Clemson, right? But he wasn't the number 4 overall pick. And when they took him, it was like, all right, well, let's see what he has. And even to this day, he has moments where he's good, but he's not some guy that you consistently look at and say, oh yeah, he's in the stat sheet. He's just a player. He's not a great player. He's just a player. So it's hit or miss, man. And Tyree hasn't been a hit, obviously. And he's going into his last year of his deal. I know the Raiders aren't going to pick up his 5th-year option. There's no way that they would do that at this stage of the game. And contract years push people. Maybe all of a sudden you'll see the best version of Tyree, and then you have to make a decision. Do you bring him back? Do you let him test the market? I mean, it's kind of what it is, but it's a new day and time. Robbie Leonard's now going to be the defensive coordinator. And like I said, I think for continuity's sake, for the Raiders, trying to build this thing and build it the right way, I think it's a good hire.
Well, Q, I want to ask you, do you have any concerns with the fact that we do have this huge youth movement? I mean, last year, a lot of fans and a lot of people in the media were kind of feeling like, Pete Carroll and, how he was running the football team was something that was from an era past in football. But do you have any concerns of it being too new of a situation, like a first-year head coach, first-year defensive coordinator, and we don't necessarily know how much further this is going to go and when it comes to how they're going to fill this staff out, but it's looking like they're going to have to go the youth movement because of how late in the game that they made this hire. Like, are you concerned about that?
I mean, slightly. I guess you have to have a little bit of concern, but I think this whole roster is going to be young. I think everybody's going to be young. That's why they gave Clint Kubiak a 5-year deal. And that was something I was saying before he ever got hired. I said, you have to do a 5-year, 6-year deal with them just to allow him to have that time to ramp up. I mean, this is one of those, scenarios where it's not going to be an overnight fix. I don't look at the Raiders like I looked at the Patriots, and them turning around. And honestly, I didn't see the Patriots in the Super Bowl in 1 year either. Yeah, but, it's just like Jacksonville. Nobody thought Jacksonville was going to turn it around in 1 year. They did. So, I mean, the Raiders could do some good things, except for the fact that they're in this tough division, the AFC West. So that's going to slow them down a little bit. But, you get the right guys in place. You turn over the roster with a lot of youth and go look at Tampa Bay once Tom Brady left. Right, they turned that whole roster over, and John Spytek was part of that. Turned the whole roster over, had a lot of young guys play, and I think that was part of the problem last year. Is that Spytek wanted to play his young guys, and Pete Carroll wanted to play his veterans because he wanted to win right now. And well, the young guys didn't play, and the Raiders didn't win right now, so it was really a double loss. When you look at it, and so Now these guys are going to have a chance to get out there and get some burn. I just look at it as this is going to be one of these seasons. Maybe they win 4 or 5 games, but you see how everything is starting to be built. You see how everything's starting to come together. Obviously, go get a young quarterback. I'm not assuming that he's going to play right away, but we'll see how they put all this thing together. But I think that this is going to have an opportunity to grow together. It's similar to what you saw in San Francisco when Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch took over together. Right? Yeah. They both came in at the same time. They both were aligned with the same kind of deal, and they were allowed to grow. And every time one gets an extension, the other gets an extension. Right? They're locked in joint hip with each other. Yeah. I talked to Gary Kubiak yesterday on my radio show, and he was saying, "Look, I know the leadership in the Raiders building is good. He worked with SpyTech. He's worked with Thews. He's worked with other guys that are coming from the Denver organization. He's like, those are good dudes. They know what they're doing. The leadership is in the right place. So with that kind of confidence and knowing that he gave that confidence to his son to have the ultimate, okay, well, I'm going to take this job with the Raiders, to me, it feels like things are going in the right direction.
Yeah, and the good thing is also, this is going to be an entirely new team. We have over 20 free agents. All the veterans are on their way out. The Devin Whites, the Atlanta Roberts of the world, Jamal Adams. So we'll have some fresh blood in the building. They'll get a chance to really build this thing up. This is going to be a real rebuild right here, Q. This is the perfect time to do it. First year, quarterback, hopefully with Fernando Mendoza, first year guy with Kubiak, and now Rob Leonard. I want to ask you this. You had great content, man. Salute to our boy Q putting work in out there at Radio Row, man. How was that experience, and what was the noise surrounding the whole Max Crosby situation, and what were some things that you heard out there on the ground level out there at Radio Row?
Man, it was wild. The Raiders were nowhere near the Super Bowl, but they were the topic of conversation, right? It was really wild to see. The first day it was Clint Kubiak and Fernando Mendoza, and then obviously the Max Crosby news came out from Jay Glazer and Diana Rossini and others, and all of a sudden it became that. So really the big conversation on Radio Row all week long had to do with the Raiders. And so a lot of people came to us and wanted to talk to us. A lot of people had me on their radio shows. Folks in Seattle were like, hey man, come over here and jump on my show. And it was cool to see that the Raiders were at the top of the conversation. It was cool to see that there was a lot of questions and a lot of people that were thinking, hey man, Clint Kubiak, Fernando Mendoza, that's going to be a really good 1-2 punch. A lot of respect and props was given out to Tom Brady there as well. So it was one of those years that instead of normally people, will walk by that I know and say, man, what you doing with them Raiders, man? What them Raiders going to do? And it's just kind of have that negative attitude. Hell, 95.7 The Game had me on their morning show. Talk about the Raiders. And they don't talk about the Raiders, but they had me on to want to talk about them. And I'm like, cool, this is fun, man. This is a good conversation. And so I thought it was great that there was so much attention put on the Raiders. And obviously a lot of teams and a lot of people that cover different teams were interested in Max and what would it take to get Max Crosby out of Vegas. And everyone kept asking me, and I was like, honestly, guys, like, I don't want to, be a Debbie Downer, but I don't think he's going anywhere. And that's just my gut feeling. I mean, he might be gone tomorrow for all I know, but my gut feeling tells me he's just not going to go. And, and unless he sits down with Kubiak and SpyTech and everyone else and says, yeah, man, that timeline just doesn't match up with what I want to do. You're going to be 4 years out before you guys are competitive. I don't have time. I just don't think he's going anywhere. It's just my gut feeling, though.
And with that, Q, when you say 4 years out, man, at this point, I'm pretty sure you is with as long as the rest of us, Fernando Mendoza a bust, right? What kind of prospect do you feel like he is, man? Just from your purview and what you've seen from him, man. How fast do you think he's going to get acclimated to the National Football League if we do choose to draft him this year?
I think he could start day one, to be honest. I don't think he's going to, but I think he could, right? He's got over 35 career starts in college. That's a big deal. Anthony Richardson had 13 starts when he was drafted by the Colts, right? The other guys, Ty Simpson, who also is a first-round pick, he's got like 14 starts in college football, period, right? He graduated college before he got his first career start. You know what I mean? Like, think about that. So he's got the experience. He's dealt with the ups and downs. He's a guy that didn't have any offers whatsoever. He was going to Yale, so he's got it between his ears. I mean, guys, let's be honest. Like, Yale wouldn't accept me to go pick up trash out front, right? They'd be like, dude, you're not qualified for this, right? You got to go on down to community college and pick up this. You know what I mean? Like, he's got it between the ears, so the game is not going to be too hard for him to break down. It's just when are the Raiders going to be comfortable putting him out there? And Tom Brady has been on record of saying he doesn't like to throw rookies out there immediately. So that's why my gut feeling tells me he won't start right away. But if he gets into training camp and he's balling out and Clint Kubiak's like, hey, man, this is the guy, then throw him out there, and I think he'll be comfortable with that. I like the guy he is. I don't think he's Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, or Drake May, but I think he could be right behind them. right? I think, if he was in that draft class, that's what everyone always says. Like, well, where would he be in that draft class? I think he'd be comfortably between Drake May and Michael Penix. And that's, Albert Breer from Monday Morning Quarterback SI. He was saying something similar. He's saying he was hearing that he probably would have been fourth or fifth at the worst in that draft class. And I think that's okay.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
Yeah,
got the Broncos to the playoffs 2 years in a row.
I mean,
right. So
Caleb Williams was great year 2 under Ben Johnson. I mean,
Aiden Daniels was great year 1.
NFC Championship year 1. Drake May was an MVP candidate. Only one vote off. So that's not a bad thing.
No. If he could be Matt Ryan like, if he could be Kirk Cousins like, if he could be Jared Goff like, I'm fine with that. Yeah. And you guys could correct me if I'm wrong. I think Fernando Mendoza will be the best quarterback the Raiders have had since 2016 Derek Carr.
Yes, 100%.
That's just
100%. See, the thing for me with Fernando Mendoza is not how he starts, it's how he finishes, right? Yep. There are a lot of guys that come into this league and they're running all over the place and they're in MVP conversations, and then they tail off, and then you're kind of chasing the greatness at the beginning of their career. I think Fernando Mendoza is a guy that is going to continuously get better and better and better. And when we look back in 4 or 5 years, he might be the best quarterback out of this whole lot because of what he has up here, his toughness, his size, and things like that. So I think that he's a better prospect for down the road, not a year or 2 from now, but 5 years from now, he probably might be the best out of the bunch.
Yeah.
Well, and that being said, it's also just not about him too. I mean, it's the understanding is the offensive line's got to be in place.
Yes.
The running game's got to be in place. The weapons around them have got to be in place, and that's up for the Raiders to do. And they have the means to do that, right? They already have the running back and the tight end, right? They need to go out there and get a number 1 wide receiver. I would look to his school and get one of his 2 guys.
Omar Cooper,
right?
yes.
Yeah, Cooper or Surratt, one of the 2. I would definitely try to draft one of those guys. You already have
Christian Becker was. I know he can't come out this year, but that would have been a great pickup. He would come out next year.
For sure. It's just you could put pieces around him to help him succeed. The thing I like about Clint Kubiak, he's shown that he'll stay dedicated to the run game.
Definitely.
He's not going to abandon it because the first 3 Genty carries goes for 3 yards or negative 3 yards. And then all of a sudden, all right, that's it. No more of that. Going to throw the ball around. You can't do that. Yeah. You have to stay dedicated to what you are and who you are. That's how you establish that identity. Like nobody, at least I didn't have a clue what the Raiders' identity was last year. No clue.
None of us did.
Yeah.
None of us did.
The running back at number 6 overall, but then they didn't use him.
Yeah. And still had over 1,000 yards all purpose, had 900, and he almost had 1,000 yards on the ground. And it was a really, really bad year. I want to ask you this real quick, though, Q. You were out there at the headquarters at Henderson. What was the energy like in the introductory presser? Because all the OGs were out. Look, the vibes were there. And I wanted to ask you also, because there were so many questions about what players were actually in the building, right? I know that Max was in there rehabbing. We're not going to get there, but I want to, ask about the young guys. I know Besh was there and Genty. What was the energy like, and what were some of the young guys that were in the building that you got a chance to see in there?
Yeah, Caleb Rogers, Isaiah Polamalu, all those guys, like you said, the young guys, Charles Grant, Ashton was right next to Caleb Rogers. Colton Miller was there, saw him as well. Saw Max right outside the press conference, didn't see him inside the press conference, but like you said, he was there rehabbing, so it is what it is. Found out that he met with Clint earlier in the day, so that's fine. No big deal. But the energy was great, and the funny thing is, the energy's supposed to be great, right? It's an introductory press conference. It was great for AP. It was great for Pete Carroll. It was great for Clint Kubiak. Now, the difference is all 3 of these pressers were different, right? AP's presser was kind of, like he came in, he was the rah-rah guy. Him and Tom Telesco sitting up there. Telesco's real quiet. AP's real loud, and, he's chanting out Raiders and this, that, and the other, and people are getting fired up by his energy. So that was one thing. Then Pete Carroll, when he was introduced with John Spytek, it felt like it was really the Pete Carroll show. It felt like, every time Spy was asked a question, it's like Pete jumped in. Who's going to make the final decision? Well, we're going to do it together. Like, okay. It seemed like he was the OG. He was the guy that's been there, done that, and Spytek had to learn on the fly. This time around, it felt like the John Spytek show, right? Will Kiss introduced John Spytek. Mark Davis was in the back of the room. He wasn't even up there on stage. He sat back there and watched the show with a big smile on his face. Spytek conducted everything, brought Clint Kubiak up there. It felt to me, and it's just me, it felt like a true partnership between the 2.
Yes.
It felt like that they were on the same page. Clint Kubiak's not going to get up there and wow you. He's not a preacher's son. He's not going to go out there and, preach a sermon on Sunday and get everyone to put some money in the offering. Like, he's not going to do that.
Yeah.
But what he's going to do is he's going to talk ball. He's going to be ready to go. He's going to look at the film. He's not going to promise anything. If you notice in that presser, he didn't say we're going to go win 10 games. He didn't say that we're gonna, bring the commitment to excellence back. He said we need to get back to playing like these guys did around them, gritty like they did. Yep. And the silent tape's gonna tell us about that. He said it ain't about what I say up here; it's about what we do. So he's not really about talking; he's more about action, which I could appreciate. Right? Yeah. Everyone's different type people. If it was me, I'd probably have a good time talking up there and do, because that's what we do. But he's not that guy. He's just a football coach, and a football's coach, right? I mean, he's been around the game so long. He's just ready to get to work. I think one of his favorite questions of the whole day is when I caught him later in the indoor facility. I asked him about the zone blocking scheme.
Yeah, I love that question.
Oh, man.
Loved it. I had to reshare that. I was like, Q is in the bag right now.
You cooked.
I mean, but it was only like a minute 30 exchange, but that was like, he perked up because he's like, oh, I'm talking football.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about opportunity. I'm not talking about my dad. I'm not talking about this, that, and the other. I'm talking about football. That's what he wants to do. He wants to lean into talking football.
Right, and I'm glad that we brought somebody in who has a clear understanding of zone blocking scheme and has a scheme that works, because when I listened to you and Link in the morning, I thought Link was going to short circuit this season the way they were blocking. Every week, he was nice at the beginning of the season, but the professor got warmed up in the middle of the season, and every week he was just pointing out what was wrong, what needs to be done. And I feel like now we have people in the building that are going to go and get this thing turned around and corrected.
Well, the funny thing is, in San Francisco on Radio Row, I was sitting there talking with Marshall Newhouse. He hopped on the show, and he used to be the offensive lineman for the Raiders as well. Won a Super Bowl with the Giants. And I was asking about the offensive line. He said, "Q, I'm going to tell you straight up. As I watched film, I did not know what they were trying to achieve. I didn't know what they were trying to block and who they were trying to block." He said, "As an offensive lineman that knows the game, I would watch the film and say, what is the goal here?" And that goes back to coaching. That goes back to teaching. That goes back to Brendan Carroll. And everyone, had a problem with him, obviously, all year long for good reason. But everyone knew that Pete Carroll wasn't going to fire his son. Like, that was the obvious that was never going to happen. Yeah. But the coaching and the teaching wasn't correct. So this zone blocking scheme, as you guys know, has really never worked for the Raiders. Ever. Right? Every time they try to do it, it never really works. They've got to have a coach. They've got to have a teacher that can go and explain it and have the right personnel that can go and execute it. And so when they do that, it could be great. I think Ashton could just dominate, right? I think Ashton could be a stud in that scheme. But you got to have it executed correctly, and you've got to have the right offensive line coach in place as well.
So my guy Marvin, real quick, wait, so real fast. Salute to everybody sending supers. We appreciate you guys. We'll get a few of these questions in for Q here in a minute. Definitely want to cook here for a second. Salute to everybody here that's donating. We appreciate you guys so much. Go ahead, Waste. Get your bag.
Well, so let me ask you a question. I noticed that, Kubiak's going to go and lean on some of the guys that he's had, and he's worked with and he has a familiarity with. The Seattle Seahawks has an offensive line coach there, and his name is John Benton. And we know John Benton around the league. How much of a obstacle do you think the Seahawks are going to add to us to bringing him here if Kubiak's going to bring, because he's a guy that he's brought along with him everywhere. And it looks like they're blocking things today. I noticed they blocked a few interviews and things like that. Do you think that the Seahawks are going to allow John Benton to come over here with the Raiders?
No, I don't think so at all, unless he gets the offensive coordinator job, because then they can't block it, right? If you put him at the OC, that's a promotion from where he's at. That's the only way that I think it's going to happen, because Mike McDonald's been very, as a matter of fact, that if you're under contract with the Seahawks, you're going to be a Seahawk, right? And I respect that. Like, he doesn't want to get his whole roster and his whole coaching staff poached. So we'll see. And Benton would be great because, like you said, he's been with Clint Kubiak the whole time, and he knows what he's doing. And he's obviously can coach it up and teach it up the correct way, knows the personnel. I just don't see Seattle letting him go. And if they don't, and he said, and my guy Corbin Smith, who's from Locked On Seahawks, he joined my show, and he's like, I talked to him before the Super Bowl, and he said, I'm a Seahawk. So it doesn't sound like he's going anywhere. Obviously, things could change if you give him a promotion or whatever. But that was wishful thinking on my part too. I was like, man, that sure would be nice. But I don't think
What's your thoughts on the Mike McCoy hiring? Again, a guy that has a ton of experience as a head coach. He's been around the league. He's worked with Trevor Lawrence. He's worked with Cam Ward last year. A lot of those guys out there, I see a lot of fans in Tennessee were really high on him at the end of the season as the interim. How do you feel about that hire?
I like it. I like it a lot because, again, he's been there, done that. 4 years as a Chargers head coach. He worked with Phillip Rivers as well. He worked with Cam Ward, the number 1 overall pick last year in Tennessee. Most likely going to work with the number 1 overall pick, Fernando Mendoza, this year in Las Vegas. I just think that he brings that familiarity and that kind of sense of calm that Clint Kubiak might not have. Like when I was talking to his dad, Gary, he told me that the best piece of advice he ever got from anyone when he took that job from being an OC to a head coach, they said, look, it's going to get done. You're going to sit there and you're going to sit there at your desk and wonder, how in the hell am I going to get all this done today?
Yeah.
But it's going to get done. So just know that it's going to get done. Take a deep breath and just go to work. I think that Mike McCoy is going to help him kind of reiterate that in his head. When he gets to that moment where he's like, we got to do this. We got to do that. Where's this guy? You know what I mean? Like, all right, let's settle down. This is where we're at. We're going to be fine. Like he has that sense of calm. When I did a little deep diving on him on Friday, Teresa Walker from the AP joined my show. She covers the Titans. She said, Q, he was a godsend for Tennessee. Once Brian Callahan got fired and he came in as the interim coach, he settled everyone down, helped Cam Ward continue to develop, and he started playing a lot better towards the end of the season. And then he also went back to having a dedication to the run game, something that apparently Tennessee had forgot about under Brian Callahan. And what she was telling me about Brian and what he was doing, and it was weird to me because his dad Bill was on the roster and on the staff too, and he's a former head coach, not a very good head coach, but he was a former coach. And
you know way too well.
Yeah, exactly.
We all know.
Exactly. But he like made some decisions that were just like he didn't know when to call a timeout. His clock management was bad. Couldn't challenge. When he did challenge, like he didn't know a catch rule. It was really strange. And for Bill not to help him out, to me, I was like, wait, hold on, you're not helping your son out?
Yeah.
Wait, you've been around the game for how long? And so he was like focused on the offensive line, and that's all he cared about. Yeah. So they said Mike McCoy came in and did some really good things, kind of settled the waters. And of course, Tennessee still wasn't very good. There's a reason why the coach got fired, but he helped settle things down. So I think he'll do that with Clint Kubiak.
Remember the conversation with C. Wood at Barcode, man.
At Barcode's great.
We can talk a little bit more about it, but yeah, Bill Callahan, he was very pissed off during that conversation. This is a great question right here from. It's funny we're talking about a Mike McCoy and now we're going to a Marvin Lewis. This is actually hilarious.
Nice.
Let's look about guy. Question for Q. I believe you said that Mendoza would. No, he didn't say he wasn't going to start. He just said that he doesn't believe he will because of what Tom Brady said before.
Yeah.
Once again, that young guys should be able to sit and learn like he did behind Bledsoe and Aaron behind Brett Favre, and the list goes on, right? But who do you have the Raiders bringing in at quarterback?
Honestly, I could see Aiden O'Connell getting the start.
Ooh.
I mean, he's under contract. Yep, right? He's a 4th round pick, so it's not like they're paying him a lot. Now they could bring somebody else in, right? I know Kirk Cousins' name's been floated around there, but the reality is, and look, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's cool. If I'm Kirk Cousins, do I want to go somewhere where I know that there's a guy that's going to replace me pretty soon?
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't want to do that. I'd want to go somewhere where I could play as long as possible. Minnesota. And so if you're Aiden O'Connell and you're already on the roster and hey, they're going to draft this quarterback, but I get a chance to start and maybe showcase who I could be. And then, maybe I'm planting some seeds for someone else. Why not? Right. And that could be one scenario. Gino, I believe, is going to be gone. I don't think there's any chance that he's back this next year. I think that everybody needs a split. He needs a split. The Raiders need a split. Raider Nation needs a split. Like, just got to go their separate ways. But Aiden O'Connell's the leader in the clubhouse for me. If there's another guy out there that Clint Kubiak feels comfortable with, that he could bring in to be a mentor guy, I just don't know in what player wants to come in and say, hey, I'm going to be a placeholder for like 4 weeks. And then I'm going to pass the sticks. Like, I don't see that as a real deal scenario, but maybe there is someone out there.
So let me ask you a quick question, right? Because outside of the quarterback, we got to remake this entire roster, right?
Yes.
What free agents would you red circle to bring into the Raiders next year? Because, there are names out there like Linderbaum and a lot of guys on the offensive line.
That's where I would start, is the offensive line.
Yeah. That's
where I would start. I would start with guys that fit what they want to do on the offensive line. Linderbaum would be one. Josh Jones from Seattle would be one. He's a backup tackle. He could play guard. He could play tackle. He filled in for Cross when he went down, and everything I've been told, he did really well. He's a free agent.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily about big names. It's about guys that can play.
Elijah Bear Tucker would fit this scheme well. I know the injury history, but he's young, from Oakland, grew up a Raider. I mean, I can see that on an inexpensive kind of prove it kind of deal in a no state tax spot.
Exactly. You got to get guys that just fit with what you're trying to do, right? Now, I'll say this. There's one guy that I really, really would like to see the Raiders bring in. That's Rashid Shaheed. I would really like to see him come in from Seattle. The Raiders haven't had a threat from the kick return game and punt return game since Jacoby Ford. And that was so long ago. That's just ridiculous. And I know Dwayne Harris took one back to the house on that punt on that Monday Night Football game.
I thought that Denver game, Q, you're right.
So, but it's just, I mean, the last kickoff return touchdown the Raiders have had was 2010.
That's disgusting.
2010. There's Raider fans that are younger than that,
brother.
You know what I mean? Like,
golly, bro.
Shaheed had more kickoff return touchdowns in the postseason than the Raiders have had.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
So,
look, we're not gonna disrespect Johnny Lee Higgins here, y'all. The great Johnny Lee.
how many moons ago was that?
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
How many 15s ago was that, right?
Yeah, I know, right?
Nah, facts. What's your thoughts? Again, we brought in Rob Leonard. We talked about that, but they were talking about bringing in Aubrey Pleasant, which I thought was a very intriguing name. Assistant head coach, learned a lot under McVay. We talked about DeMarcus Covington over here, the former DC for New England, recently worked with Green Bay out there with the defensive line. And then Jeff Howard was supposed to come in today, the safeties coach with Seattle. Do you think that they just felt like, you know what, he's the right guy? Do you think that they thought they were kind of getting away from the assignment here with some of these names? Why do you think that we made the hire today with potentially some of these guys coming in for an interview?
Well, I think some of these guys might still end up being in the mix, but they just have different titles. You know what I mean? Because that's what happens every coaching search. Yeah. You might bring in a guy to interview for the head coaching job, but you might really be looking at him as an OC, right? Or you might be looking at him as a DC, or you might be looking at him as another position, and then you get in that conversation, you feel him out. So I don't know who's on Clint Kubiak's list and where he's envisioned some of these guys, but, you could easily see the safety coach from, Seattle all of a sudden becoming like the secondary coach, or, you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. Like, just connect the dots with possibly where they could, they can go. And maybe Robbie Leonard said, hey, now that I'm the DC, these are the guys that I'd really be interested in. Let's get them in here and see if we can, we can hash out something. And so that's why it's always kind of difficult to understand exactly who's being interviewed for what. And a lot of people just make assumptions as soon as they see a name and they pop up and, oh, this guy, well, he's just for that, or he's just for that. It's like, yeah, but you don't really know, right? I mean, it could be, this guy could be coming in to interview for the D-line coach because they know the D-line coach is going to be the D coordinator. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of different dots that could be connected. So it's going to be interesting. I do think this thing is going to get wrapped up pretty quickly, though.
So Q, really quickly, man, because I know, we appreciate you pulling up on the show.
A lot going on right now.
It's a lot going on. I know you probably have other things going on today. It's Valentine's Day. We're all in the doghouse right now.
Don't tell nobody.
Yeah, we're in the doghouse. I know. I'm definitely in the doghouse.
I'll be like, you know what? We should be doing something else today. Oh no. It's like football here. Come on now.
So real quick, man. Like, you were one of the guys that, for me, I respect the most in this business because you came and got it through the mud. Like, we're doing it, right? Yeah. And your story coming up as a creator and landing to where you land, and I remember you telling a story one time about you taking a job down, I think in Texas. Yeah. And could you elaborate a little bit on your rise and how you got to where you are, man? Because to me, it's an amazing story, man.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's kind of a lengthy story, but yeah, I have no problem telling it because I think it could be inspirational for anybody, right? Because we all can make it, and there's room for all of us to make it. It just depends on how hard you want to work. Yeah. So, I had the opportunity to go to Texas to be a hip hop DJ, right? And that's what I've always done is hip hop music, from me getting a start at Wild 94.9 to being at K-Win in Stockton, to being at Hot 104 in Modesto, to being at Q97 in Fresno. I'm
from Sacramento, so I know all these.
I almost got a job at 102.5, right? Shorty got the job instead of me. So he got the job at KSFM, and I had a chance to work there. And the Bomb, I had a chance to work there, and and didn't get that job. But
Big Kid Boots.
Yeah. So all those folks are my people, and it's just it depends on how you want this journey to go. So I got a call and I was actually doing FedEx at the time. I got a call like, hey, are you at the game or what are you doing? I said, no, if the right opportunity comes up, I'm in. So my guy, Greg Mack, who, matter of fact, he started K-Day in LA back in the day, the first station to put hip hop on the West Coast. He called me and was like, hey man, I got a job in Texas for you. So I'm thinking Dallas, Austin, San Antonio. You know what I mean? Like, I'm thinking some big city in Dallas. I'm thinking I'm about to be the dude, right? I'm about this West Coast cat's about to go out to Texas and really live it up. And he's like, yeah, it's in Waco. And I was like, oh, well, hold on, dog. Hold on, man. Like,
Baylor, that's it. That's all that's out there is Baylor.
I didn't know that at the time. I just knew Waco, and I knew the David Koresh story, right? Which later on I found out wasn't even in Waco, but that's another story. I was like, man, I don't know about that. So he offered me the job 4th of July weekend, and I stalled him out. I was like, man, I don't know. So I waited all the way till September to accept that job. He kept hitting me, and I was like, I don't know, dog. And then finally, I was like, well, worst case scenario, if it doesn't work out, I'll just come back. So no big deal. I'll take the trip to Waco, see what happens, and I'll bounce back. And the station sucked. It wasn't a very good station. I was there a couple months, and I'm thinking, yeah, I'm probably gonna bounce. So right around the New Year's, or no, right around Valentine's Day, as a matter of fact, I was like, yeah, I think I'm about to go. And so they fired me. That station fired me, but they didn't know I'd already accepted a job at another station. So he was like, hey, we're gonna pay you extra money just to kind of part ways. And I was like, all right, cool. And then at the same time, right after he paid me, I was like, all right, I'm taking this job over here anyway. So we were cool. And the only reason I took this job at this hip hop station in town was because they had ESPN in the building. So I'm getting older, and I'm like, man, I really want to figure out what I'm gonna do to, transition later. What am I gonna do after hip hop's not my bag anymore? After it's not, my favorite songs anymore? Like, do I want to host a club for 18-year-olds anymore? Like, I was just kind of, I was kind of, and my guy, my mentor, Victor Zaragoza, he's the one who helped me get my first job. He always told me he wanted to go from music to sports. So I always had in my mind that I wanted to go from music to sports.
We got the same story. Wait, this crazy.
Yeah. So ESPN's in the building. So I took the job, and I said, look, I'll only work here if I can work on ESPN too. And he said, well, that's not my call. That's that dude's call. So I said, all right, well, I'm just telling you that that's what I want to do. That's my goal. He said, all right, as long as he says it's cool and you maintain your job here, it's good. So I did. So I'm working 2 stations at the same time. I'm doing hip hop and I'm doing sports, and I'm grinding. I'm not really getting paid. I mean, money's minimal, whatever. Like that $5 donation we just got was probably more than I was getting paid. Like I had checks that were like $200. It's like, what are you gonna do with this? But it's cool. It's the grind. And so then finally I was able to transition just to sports the whole time and really focus on that. And that was in 2012. And I'll tell you, man, I did every interview. I did every odd job. I did every side hustle. I did everything I could to maintain and bring in a check that was decent, not good, but decent. And just so I can learn the game. And I started covering Baylor, and I started learning how to interview players and what to do at the press conference and how to talk to people and how to show up at different events. And like my very first Super Bowl that I ever went to, they didn't pay for my room. They didn't pay for my flight. They said, I get you a credential. That's it. You got to figure out everything else. It was in New Orleans. It was the Ravens and the 49ers, the Hardball Bowl.
Yeah.
I was like, that's when Beyonce performed and everything went black.
Yeah.
Including me. I might have had a little too many on Bourbon Street. But so I did it. And so my mom helped me too. She was like, well, I don't want you to miss out on anything that those guys are doing. I was like, yeah, all right, cool. So we just started getting out there, and I started treating the Super Bowl like the biggest job fair. So I knew that all these decision makers are there. So I'm busting my tail, man. I'm working hard, and everyone's noticing, like, who's this dude over here? So people start talking to me, start shaking my hand, man, I've seen you working all week long, man. You're really, so I'm getting contacts, I'm getting names, I'm getting this, that, the third. And so I'm just developing a Rolodex. And I realize every year I do this, more people are noticing me, and more people are coming to me instead of me going to them. So it's just one of those things that kept developing. And 95.7 The Game, when Zachariah and the Guru were doing the weekends, they would call me. Look, I'm a dude in Texas. They're calling me to do a hit on the radio about the Raiders.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm in Texas. So I'm doing high school football on Friday night. And they call me, and I'm like, man, I'm sitting in the stands right now, and I'm doing a hit because I don't want to miss it. And I want everyone to hear my voice. And I want everyone to know, like, this Q guy got something.
Yeah.
And so I just keep doing that. And then I met this dude, James Arcelana, from Oakland. I met him on Twitter. I didn't know him at all. We met on Twitter, and he's like, hey, I'm going to start a Raider podcast. Anyone want to join? And I hit him, and I was like, hey, man, I'm in Texas. I'm from the town, though, but I can do it with you, no problem. So we did it. 2016, we did it, right? And obviously, that was a great year to do it, right? Because the Raiders were really good that year. Mm-hmm. We did it, and we didn't make any money off it at all. But all of a sudden, it started to develop, and people started to know who I was, and people started to promote me and started saying, hey, man, you should get this guy on your show. Then I started doing other shows for free. And I worked my ass off, man. And I did so much for free and didn't make any money. And like my mom would be mad, man, you ain't making no money. You got to get a real job. And I was like, there is no such thing. Like, I got this. It's coming. It's about to pop.
Yeah.
And finally, man, in 2021, I got the job here in Vegas. After I was working my tail off. I gave myself 6 months. I just had my program director had just got fired, and David Smoke, that's my guy. He had just got fired. He had a problem with the owner and whatever. So new guy came in, and he didn't really like me because me and David Smoke were really close. So he's like, I knew then that we weren't going to get along. So I said, look, I'm giving myself 6 months to get to Vegas. 6 months. So it was January 1st. I said, by June 1st, I'm going to be in Vegas. I got the job in Vegas June 11th. So I missed it by like 11 days, but I was pretty spot on. I was pretty much, as a matter of fact, where I needed to be. Yeah. And then I got here and I didn't stop working, and just kept working, kept being noticed. Every interview, like, you guys, hey, Q, could you come on the show? Yep. Because I don't know. Like, the thing is, you don't know who's watching your show.
Yeah.
Like
we get shocked sometimes when we go out. We're like, damn, like,
that's what I'm saying.
People that's been in the business forever.
My podcast, I got the job with David Locke. He DM'd me on Twitter to give me the job for the Locked On Raiders podcast based off what he heard on the podcast I was doing with James Arcelana. He was like, hey, I think you're pretty good. You want to do this job? And I was like, sure. I didn't even know what I was doing. I just knew that I wanted to host a show by myself because in Texas, I was a co-host. So I wanted to learn how to host a show by myself. Yeah. And now if you look, I do a 3-hour show every day by myself. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I've learned how to talk to myself and kind of weird, but you know, you
have to. You gotta
you have to. I mean, we do it, you do it, you know what I'm saying? And that's one of the reasons why, you know, I brought that up because your rise is very similar to some of the things that we have going on currently in our career doing this. And it's huge respect from us, man.
Yeah. I'm gonna see you in Vegas soon, Q. I'm gonna see you in Vegas soon.
I don't doubt that. And the thing is like you just got to do it the right way. You know, I mean, there's a lot of folks out there that'll try to shade you and try to, you know, try to diminish what you're doing to try to elevate them. And you don't have to do that. Yeah. You don't have to do that. All you got to do, if you put in the work, that it will be noticed, right? I don't never have to go and dog anyone. The only person I ever get mad at, and I don't even know who it is the website that quotes me and doesn't have their name on it. Yeah. That's the only people that I get mad at because they quote me. They usually misquote me. And then they don't even have their name. Like your guys' name's on your show. My name's on my show. Their website doesn't have nobody's name on it. Yeah. So that makes me mad because it's like, wait, hold on. If you're going to quote me or misquote me, at least let me know who I need to direct the comment to. Like, hey, man, that's not correct. This is actually what I said. Yeah. Outside of that, I'm willing to promote anybody because I think that everyone has their own skill set. You guys are different than me. I'm different than this guy. You know what I mean? Like we're all different, but we're all, you know, just genuine people. Yeah. And obviously, when it comes to Raider coverage, we're only here because we're all passionate about the Raiders from once, you know. Definitely. So, you know what I mean? Like that's what it is. And so
that's one of the main reasons I rock with you so heavy, Q, is because I know that again, you really you get down and you get busy for this. Yeah. You know what I mean? And you do it, like you said, you do it the right way. You're not out there just throwing reckless reports out there and all that other stuff. You do it the correct way and you put the work in. Just like my guy said, you put that pain in, bro. And we got to respect you for that, man. We definitely appreciate everything that you do for the Shield. I want to ask you, we're not going to hold you too long on Valentine's Day. We all got wives and stuff going on, right? But I want to ask you, man, going into the draft, April, first and foremost, are you going to be out there in Pittsburgh?
Oh, yeah.
We tapped in. We got to tap in
with you out there. But I want to ask, Fernando Mendoza, I think for most of us is a foregone conclusion at one. Yeah. Are there any other players that you're looking at there at 36, you know, and later on? I mean, do you think that Spy is going to pull the rabbit out of the hat like he did last year and kind of trade back and pick up some extra picks? Yeah. How do you think this draft is going to go? And is there any other players that you're looking at to potentially bring in? Because I think we go defense the most in the draft, and we go get that O-line help, the Braden Smiths, the Linderbaum, if he escapes Baltimore somehow, some way. But what do you think we do with the approach with the draft?
I think this Spy is going to trade a lot. I think he's very comfortable trading. You saw what he did last year. There was 8 picks he had. And he turned it into 11. Yeah. So I think that he's going to do that. But I think he's going to be okay with trading up and trading back. I think that that's his wheelhouse. He loves the draft. I know that for a fact just from talking to him. Yeah. So, you know, we mentioned already, you know, the wide receivers there from Indiana. I think those guys should be targets. Mm-hmm. Those are guys that they should be looking at to try to get. You know, there's some defensive guys that you might be able to trade back up into the back end of the first round and try to get. And I always forget his name. It's D'Angelo, the cornerback from
Pons. Yeah.
Hey man, that's a dog. Yeah. That is I know he's smaller.
He's like a Meek.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was about to say.
Meek on. I don't want to say steroids, but I'm just saying, like, I think and I love Meek. We were really high on him in that draft.
He's a beefy Meek.
Yes.
But I think Pons is going to have a better career. That's no.
I think so too. I think so too. And the Raiders need a standout DB, right? I mean, I think that they're going to bring Eric Stokes back, but that's just my gut feeling. But they need to make sure that they have their secondary in place. They need linebacker help. They need defensive line help. I mean, they need a lot of help. And like you said, 22, 23 free agents that they have. Everybody's not coming back. Matter of fact, I'd be surprised if a lot of those guys came back. So it's going to be a big time roster turnover. So anytime that they can get playmakers, I think they have to do it. But first and foremost, once free agency opens up, that offensive line's got to be priority number 1, 2, and 3.
Definitely. Salute to Rube. I got a question for Q. He is the resident George Halani stan. What are your thoughts on George Halani, the third string running back, Rube, in Seattle? But again, it'd be interesting to have him and Ashton Genty back, right? The boys duo.
Well, that's the thing. Is like I think that he could, you know, if they can get him there, because they're going to need another running back, right? Mostert is a free agent. Zamir White's a free agent. White's not coming back.
Yeah.
Mostert might come back as a veteran, but it's not going to be just the Ashton Genty show. So I see another running back. I just don't know who they're going to bring in. If they draft someone later in the draft, they could do that. If they bring in somebody who's a free agent that they might be able to get on a lower deal, right? They can do that. There's a few different options that they have for sure, but I do expect to see that running back room addressed for sure.
Nah, definitely. We want to say, man, we appreciate you so much for pulling up, brother. Again, we almost have 2,000 people in the building. Let everybody know where they can follow you. If you guys are living under the rock, you never know, never see who Q is or where he's at. Let everybody know everything you got going on, brother.
Yeah, man, I got a lot going on, man. Raider Nation Radio 920, do the show every day, 2 to 5 p.m., Monday through Friday. The Locked On Raiders podcast, hopefully everyone's making that the first listen of the day. That's kind of the mantra that I always try to live by. We got the Raider Squad show now with Chantel Chan, Lincoln Kennedy, and myself. We do that. What else? ESPN Game Night, Monday through Friday. I do that 7 to 10 p.m. Pacific time. I'm always grinding, man. You can find me on Twitter at your boy Q254. That's the easiest way to get me. And that's about it, man. That's just, if that's not enough, but yeah.
Hey, man.
And you can find me in the barbershop on Saturday morning, man. Got to get that fresh fade.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Got to get freshly swizzled.
Yeah,
can't be on TV looking raggedy, brother.
We appreciate you, brother. Keep putting that pain in, keep putting that work in. We're going to keep supporting you, man. And hopefully we can do this a little bit more frequently.
Yeah.
With the draft coming up, maybe we can run one up, after the draft and kind of, get over the results and stuff. Because I'm excited about this draft. I think this class, I know a lot of people aren't that high on this class, but the linebacking core in this class is insane. The interior O linemen, this can be a really good class. For this
foundation building draft right here.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of top end talent, but it's enough talent where you can fill your roster out really nicely.
Yeah,
I think you can get a lot of starters. I don't think you're going to get a lot of stars.
Yeah. I like that,
and that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's
man.
Okay.
Salute to our boy Q, man. Go enjoy your Valentine's Day, brother. We appreciate you, and again, we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, let's do it, man. I appreciate y'all. It's fun. Thanks so much for having me.
Long overdue, man. Good to see our guy Q, man. Salute to our brother Q for pulling up and hanging out with us. As always, I know he has a lot going on, with this big breaking news of Rob Leonard being our DC. We're still rocking a little bit. You got to go right now, Wasted?
I am texting Mrs. Wasted right now.
Okay.
And I want to see exactly what she's going to say to me.
We have a few minutes here. Salute to Silver and Black Panther. My folks, appreciate you, my brother. Is that Unc in the building? Oh, that's Unc. Salute to Unc.
Unc is in the building, man.
Salute, man, to him. And salute to everybody that sent the supers and donate all that. We appreciate you guys so much. You already know when we have interviews, it's kind of difficult, man, to kind of, go back and forth with them. But salute to our guy Q, man. And breaking news again, you guys. Rob Leonard has been elevated, promotion from defensive line coach to the defensive coordinator. So,
homegrown talent is the best talent, right? Like, it would have been nice just to kind of quell our, concerns to get a guy that's more established. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to be honest with you, man. I love the way the Raiders and this organization is all growing together. Young GM, young coach, young defensive coordinator. So what they're doing is they are setting the stage, if they have some success, for us to have the one thing we have not had in the last 20 years is continuity.
Yeah. Over
the next 3, 4, 5, 6. Hopefully we set up a situation where this is a 10-year grind, 10, 12 year, you know what I mean? With the Raiders can be one of the standard bearers in the league. That to me, just Rob Leonard, if I'm being honest, to me was the hire if you're not going to go out there and get a marquee guy like a Schwartz.
Yeah. Jeremy Fowler put it out there too. The Raiders front office was impressed with Leonard last season, which was reflected in staffing in staffing talks during their head coaching interviews. So, they were really high on him. It's good. It's good. Again, we keep some familiarity in the building with Rob Leonard. And again, man, Robbo gets a promotion. Salute to him. We're very happy for him. And it looks like the Raiders are also, according to Jeremy Fowler, retaining Joe Woods as the defensive pass game coordinator. Per sources, new head coach Clint Kubiak going with continuity with Rob Leonard's DC promotion and Woods, who worked with Kubiak in New Orleans. So there's some familiarity there with Joe Woods and him as well. So great, man. The Raiders are making moves here today. The coaching staff will be shaped up pretty soon here, you guys. And again, you got to be a little patient with the organization right now because we waited. We were the last team to hire our head coach, which was the best head coach in the cycle. So it was going to take some time to fully, staff, this team. So it is what it is.
Best your best young head coach.
No, I'm going with best head coach this cycle. Well, let me say this. I'm not going off of the past. Okay, wasted. I don't care what you say. Harbaugh struggled with that roster in Baltimore. I wanted nothing to do with Harbaugh.
Look, I didn't want anything to do with Harbaugh. He was the best head coach for us. But what I'm saying is it's hard for us to say he was the best head coach in this cycle when you got a guy that's got a Lombardi, bro. You got a couple of guys that have Lombardis that got hired as coaches.
Clint Kubiak has one too.
Come on, bro.
So, Rich, love when y'all have Q on. Great show, fellas. Always bringing that heat. Well, you know what? We're going to keep this train rolling, you guys. We have another one coming up here soon. We're not going to reveal any names here and there, but we're doing the whole. We're kind of on a beat writer / podcaster tour right now. You know what I mean? So we got an interesting name coming up this week. Do you want to wait on that?
Yeah. I want to wait until we get it locked in on a date. But guys, look, the most important thing for me and for Graphic, right, with the Graph Wasted Graph Show, is that we give you guys information, not affirmation, and we bring on people who are really, really important to this organization.
Yeah,
like we're not just bringing on a bunch of slappies around here.
Yeah,
heavy hitters only.
Yeah, respected individuals. Yeah, again, man, that don't just come up and just do anything and say anything to get clicks and shit like that. So, salute to Just Raiders. They said fire content. Salute to my guy, man. Get a few more questions in real quick, you guys, before we get out of here. About to come up on that hour mark again. My wife is patiently watching her shows, and we're about to hang out, get some food together.
My wife is looking at me, judging, watching. Look at the baby. Look at the baby.
Well, hey, real quick, salute to CGR on Gifting 5. Yes. Raider Nation Unlimited.
Brother,
and also salute to Robert, my guy, man, Gifting 5 OLV Raiders Network memberships as well. We appreciate you, brother. No sour sauce, you guys. I see the comments. No, it's not. No,
you guys gotta chill, bro. Y'all gotta chill, man. This is something that has lived way too long on Raider YouTube.
You gonna get me blocked too, man?
I know, man. I mean, golly, man, y'all done got me blocked by Unky Sour.
Salute to Diva, great show. Salute to our sis, and also salute to our other sis, Raider Dev. Have a good one, y'all. Salute to you as well. Yeah, man. Other than that, you guys, we're gonna get the hell out of here. Hopefully, you guys pulling up late. Some breaking news: Raiders have elevated Rob Leonard. He is officially our new defensive coordinator. It's gonna be interesting to see how Max responds to this news. I know he loves him. He's on the road right now in LA, you guys, covering the NBA All-Star game. So stay tuned. Hopefully, he puts out a tweet here soon. That'd be really, really dope for the nation. Kind of have everybody kind of ease a little bit. You know what I mean? Because right now everybody's kind of on like they're kind of hanging on. Like what's going on with Max?
What is going on, bro? Yeah, like bro. Listen, at the end of the day, no matter what happens, right? And we've said this. I have my mind open to either scenario.
Me too.
I have my mind
good with both.
Either scenario, whether if it so chooses and he so chooses to move on, I salute him. I salute everything that he's laid down for the Raiders, and I'll never say a bad word about the guy. The guy's been phenomenal for us, and having him in the building is nothing but right too, right? Yeah. But either way it goes, bro. Either way it goes, man. I'm open to it.
I want to say this as well, you guys. Don't think for 1 minute that Clint Kubiak did not call Mike McDonald and say, "What do you think about Rob Leonard?" A guy that he coached, that was under him. I think he's a linebackers coach, I believe, in like 2022 with Baltimore. Don't think for 1 minute that Kubiak did not pick, his mentor's brain and say, "Hey, what do you think about this move?" So again, this could be a good situation for us. I understand all the question marks surrounding him. What is this scheme going to look like? What is he going to, again, Flores, McDonald, Patrick Graham, there's a ton of different philosophies there. But again, we'll see here in very soon what this thing will look like. But I'm hyped. It is what it is. Salute to Rob Leonard, man, sticking around. He's been here, 3 years now? Came in with Josh McDaniels, and he's been one of the only guys that's kind of, found a way to stick around.
He survived the times. I mean, he's like the Nas of the Raider coaching staff. He's surviving the eras, man.
Yep. There you go. But other than that, you guys, we will be live tomorrow night. We got our brother, man, Paul Daracell, star NFL agent. He has a lot that he wants to talk about tomorrow night, you guys. He has a lot on his mental. He said, "Yo, Graph." He hit me up. He said, "Bro, I got a lot to talk about." So I said, "Okay, well, we're gonna get the Graph and Wasted and Graph show rolling." and we're going to have some fun tomorrow night. So you guys might want to tune into that. We're going to talk a ton about the Max situation, you know, as an agent and what this may mean, and maybe the Keon situation a little bit. We're going to talk about the draft.
Oh, yes. And for those of you who don't know, he is Keon Coleman's agent.
Yes.
He is formerly Jeffrey Simmons' agent. This is a man that is tapped in. This is just not, like I said before, no slappies over here. No slappies. Heavy hitters only.
Love y'all, man. Wipe them feet. Pay your bar tabs on the way out. Hit that subscribe button. As always, we will see you guys tomorrow night for the Graft and Wasted and Graft show. The third one for the week. And then we got some more.
I mean, my God, right? It's
week,
moving. It's moving.
You already know. Salute to Q. Once again, our guest.
Yeah, thank you to Q for pulling up and gracing us with his presence, man. It's always great to get one of the standard bearers in our industry coming on the show and tapping in with us, man. Appreciate Q, man.
Definitely. All right, y'all. Y'all have a blessed Valentine's Day. We'll see you tomorrow night. Once.